Hey, everybody. Happy New Year from Passover Listings. This is Donnie Schwartz. We're back again for another live interview tonight with a special guest to talk kosher travel, Pesach, food, how the all three come together. So really stoked about that. We got someone joining us very soon, and then we'll get started. Again, if you guys are taking a look at any Pesach programs, need any help with any programs, you can always reach out to us. See you soon here, hopefully. There we go. Okay. Hello.
Hello,
Welcome.
Reb Donnie. How are you doing?
Reb Surly, very good. Cannot complain. Shana Tova, Happy New Year.
Shana Tova, yeah. Recently I told somebody Jewish people take stock of their lives and their year twice a year. So that's why we're really plugged in.
Absolutely. I'm into that. That's great. So
What's going on?
where you're in New York. I know you travel all around the world. So where are you right now? Are you in
I'm at my home base in Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood? Okay.
Yeah,
Lovely Hollywood, Florida. Terrific.
not too bad.
Great. So
Where are
a lot
you?
of people, I'm in Los Angeles,
Oh,
California.
not too
So
bad also.
yeah, we both have some sun, which is good. You
Do you
know,
live there?
I live there. Yeah.
Oh, very
Yeah. Yeah.
nice. Cool.
Yeah. Great. Well, I love to. I know we've been talking for forever and trying to get this, on the books and talk kosher travel, talk kosher food. You've been doing a lot. I love your content out there,
Thank you.
and um, why don't you tell, I guess, people here, I know a lot of people know who you are. You do a lot around different kosher programs around the world and things of that nature, and you do a lot of recipes for that. What are you most passionate about in the
I always take screenshots.
I love it.
What's your question?
I was saying, what are you most passionate about in the kosher food world these days? With everything going on in the foodie world and the kosher travel world, where do you kind of like live with that, right? How do you kind of interact with those that world?
Um, so a lot of my own content really was and still is based around home cooking. I like easy recipes, quick recipes. My mother taught me that you can make Shabbos in 45 minutes if you do it right, and it still somehow comes out good. So I'm all about quick and easy. I'm the oldest of 10 children, so my mother was always doing
Children.
yeah
Wow.
quick turnaround dinners and stuff like that, and a lot of I'm the oldest of those 10, so my schedule as I got older would be later.
Yeah.
Like yeshiva, you start ending at 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, and then I would come home, and the general dinner for the younger kids would be a
Yeah.
lot of times gone. And so I would make my own stuff. My mother would say, "Oh, you're hungry? Go take something, go make something." So that was a lot of where a lot of us learned how to cook on our own. My mother was always very helpful in that sense.
But
And
how do you make a quick dinner
a
that's
quick dinner. What's so funny? I think that a lot of people don't realize. Maybe a lot of people are intimidated by cooking, and I have recipes and I have a lot of tutorials and stuff like that. But a lot of the things that I make, I actually never had recipes for. I just sort of had a system. Like you put this in, put that in, and make this. You put this, you eyeball this, and that's how my mother did it.
yeah.
And then when I started posting, people would ask me for the recipes, so I would start actually writing them down. I had to learn how to format recipes and research recipes, and test recipes. And recently I posted a soup that I did, a butternut squash soup, which is one of the recipes that I like. I use that recipe a lot.
Yeah.
And I did it from memory. And when I was in the store, I saw a leak. So I said, you know what? Let me get this leak, and then I used the leak in the recipe. And then afterwards, I was reading back my original recipe, and I realized I usually use parsnip, not leek.
Ooh.
So it was very interesting to me because I could actually taste the difference, and I liked it.
You
It
did
wasn't worse or
you did
better. Yeah, you can taste the difference. Well, the parsnip is more of an earthy, rooty, like potatoey vibe, and parsnip is a little bit more bright, and it has a little bit more of like a scallion. It has like a little more of like a green feel to it. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a difference. Like with the parsnip, the soup has a little bit more of like a hearty, earthy flavor, and with the parsnip, it's a little more bright. So you can definitely taste the difference. But like I said, I never really wrote down my recipes. I would just like put stuff together. So now I write down my recipes, and I'm very into that and developing that. And for a while I was sort of not on purpose, but shifting to like the restaurant scene. I was doing a lot of restaurants, going out to restaurants. Um, but then I shifted a little bit more back to recipes because really there's not a lot of people that do what I do. It's definitely not guys that do it, that's for
It's
sure.
not.
Um,
It's definitely not easy to make a good recipe. I mean, I know. I wish I could taste, some of your cooking right
thanks.
now, right? Because and fast, right? Because I like fast, like you, right? Like quick and easy recipes. I don't, if I had to spend an hour cooking every day, right? It'd just be, it'd be crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, and people are rushing. I mean, I work all day and I'm doing errands and other things, and then dinner comes around. I have to throw dinner together real quickly, and you always have time to spend hours and hours. Now,
Right.
baking, on the other hand, like I don't do so much baking. I have sometimes to do
What's
some
your
cakes here and there.
What's your favorite thing to bake? Like, what's the number one thing you love to
I
bake?
like making cakes. I do like making cakes. I did that for a while. I did a lot of cakes.
Okay.
But it's different for me, the cakes, than cooking. Cooking, like I said, you accidentally use leek instead of parsnip.
Right.
It doesn't taste bad. It's just a different flavor.
Wow.
When I do baking, you just do one thing wrong and the cake comes out too thick, too dry, too this.
Yeah.
It's much more challenging for me, so I don't enjoy it as much. I do like making challah, and I think this is a little bit part of my like own shtick is that I like the challenge. So baking is very hard, so I try to do it just to like
Right.
do it, so I could say I did it. Like I made like last year I went on a babka rugula like bender and I must have made babka 5 times till I got it even halfway right. And you
Wow.
think it's easy because it's basically the same dough as challah, just making the challah dough.
Right.
And then you just put in some chocolate, but it's not. It's a science. So baking is much harder, but I enjoy the challenge.
Right.
Cooking, I enjoy more the creativity of it. It's
Right.
like I said, you change this, you change that. It's interesting. I like seeing things come out, and so I love that. And then, like I said, I still enjoy being part of the restaurant scene. I like, letting people know what's out
Yeah.
there and what's new. A lot of people come to me. Every show chat probably has their like default guy that's, like, hey, where should we go out to eat? I'm my show chat's default guy. I'm like
Awesome.
Google for my show chat. So I try to keep on top of what's new. But it's here in Florida, it's like every week another restaurant.
Same in
So it's
Los Angeles. There's tons of new kosher restaurants open
yeah,
up.
is there?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, tons. I think the new one that opened up, I think it was an kosher Indian restaurant, I think, recently,
Is
as
is
well.
LA still growing in terms of like are people moving there and new communities, new shows?
Yeah. Well,
It's not.
there's the Pico Robertson area,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah,
and then Valley. I mean, there's tons of people moving here, right? But real estate's a lot out here. So,
right.
well, Florida's well expensive, but there's such a vibrant Jewish community out here. Tons of Jewish restaurants, tons of Jewish kosher establishments. Um, like you with the restaurant scene, Kosher GPS, nice app that has promotions now. Actually, a lot of promotion in the Hollywood area, in your area, right? So a lot of kosher restaurants decided, hey, you know what? How cool would it be if you can find not only the nearest kosher restaurant wherever you're at, but like different promotions, like 10% off Thursday or a free dessert, over here. This everyone likes something free from time to time, right? So
Yeah,
nice to have something like this, or kind of be in the middle of what's new, what's fresh, and things like that. But let's switch gears to travel for a minute, right? Like kosher
yeah,
travel, you've done
love
like
it.
a bunch of really cool things. You love to. It
Yeah,
seems like Love it.
I went to Guatemala a couple of years ago, and then I was just in Amsterdam and Belgium.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. And what's so funny is that I had not pre-planned. It wasn't like on my bucket list to go to any of those places. It was just sort of fell into it. Guatemala was incredible, and what I really liked about Guatemala, where I went, was that I did not go to like the touristy commercial area, like in Guatemala City, even in Antigua a little bit, it's like that. But I went to this place called San Pedro La Laguna, which is really like one of 5 tiny little fishing villages. Actually,
Okay.
not fishing villages, because the lake's all dried up. Whole crazy story there. They were doing a lot of seafood, and they introduced another species of fish to the lake to try to, change things up. And whatever they introduced to the lake destroyed the whole ecosystem. So they didn't have they had lost like a lot of fish. It was like a whole crazy thing.
Oh,
But there was a Chabad house there, amazing Chabad house, amazing guy, and he has 2 kosher restaurants. So he has like the Chabad house, and then on the right side, like a cafe, like pastas and breakfast and milchik and stuff like that. And on the left side of the Chabad house, there's like a schnitzel, shawarma, falafel to go place.
right.
And it's amazing. It's a tiny little village. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, I did it in a day. You could literally walk from one side to the other side. I was there for a week. Originally, I was planning on leaving Friday morning, but you like fall in love with the
Yeah.
place. Like, and after like a day, I knew everyone in this village, and it's populated with tons of Israeli people because a lot of the Israeli soldiers and stuff like that, after college, after the army, they go on Tiyul, they go to India, they go here, they also go here. Like, the largest, nicest hotel in that area was a place called Sababa, that's
Wow.
run by Israelis. Just gorgeous, gorgeous place, and very affordable. I did the entire trip for under $1,000. Like, the
Wow.
flight to Guatemala was like maybe $200.
Yeah.
I think the hotel was maybe like $600 for a week.
That's
And
great.
then Friday, the shliach, the rabbi, kept saying, "Oh, you're gonna stay for Shabbos." I'm like, I didn't even bring stuff for Shabbos because I left Sunday morning and I was coming back Friday morning.
Right.
He's like, "No, you have to stay. You have to stay." I was like, "I don't even have like Shabbos clothing."
Right.
He's like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nobody has Shabbos clothing here."
Yeah.
And it was like $150. You give the shul, and they give you like both meals, everything, and they had 100 people Friday night, which
Wow.
was insane. 100 people,
Wow.
and then during the day also like a lot of people. It was just amazing to meet so many different people, different types of Jews, and see the culture. So I really like fell in love with that idea, and then so I'm a big fan of like South America. It's first of all not so far.
Right.
So if you go like Europe or wherever, even if you're like Australia, South Africa, these
Would you say
places, it's like,
America was like the most interesting destination that you've been? Because you've been all.
yeah, I mean, it's very different. Like last August, I went to on a trip from Amsterdam to Antwerp, Belgium,
Mhm.
through those areas of the Netherlands, and it's just those are like totally different types of people. Very, very, very different, but also so interesting. But there, it's different. Interesting. There, it's different because it's so steeped in World War II history, and it's so part of their culture. And you go there, and it's just like, here's a Holocaust exhibit, here's this exhibit, this is the show from 1600s when the
Wow.
Jews fled Italy and they all came there. Like, and
Yeah.
it's like a whole different culture, and the people are totally different there. But I will tell you one thing that's interesting on my travels, anywhere outside the United States, people are so more chill,
Yeah.
like relaxed, calm, like they're just much happier, I think, in general.
European. It's a European mentality. They're much. There's no worry. Right.
Listen,
Everything
I'm an American. I love
all over.
America. I love
Yeah.
this country.
Oh yeah.
I grew up here. I'm as American as you could get. My family, true story. My family on my mother's side goes back to the late 1800s in Florida. My mother was born here. I mean, I'm American as they could get. Trust me. When I was a bucker, I had the option to go to Israel for like high school or to like stay in the States. So I went to New Jersey. I was like, what did I lose in Israel? Like I was a kid, and then as even before I got married, I went to Chabad houses all over the country. I spent 3 months in Utah. I spent time in Orlando. I spent time in LA. I spent time in I was in Denver. I went everywhere. And I loved the country. I loved traveling the country. I felt like, what are we going over there? This is a huge country here. There's so much stuff going on here. It's so interesting. And everybody's so different where you go. But once I started doing the out of America,
Yeah.
you get such a different feeling. Like
It's like nothing. Yeah, they're totally different, these trips. I
they're
mean,
just relaxed. It's like a different vibe, Like they close their stores at 5 o'clock. There's no,
yeah. Yeah.
there you go to the
Well,
cafe, the grocery store closed. There's no 24 hours and late nights.
well, look, I mean, just to kind of shift gears a little bit to Pesach, right? That's why there's such a differentiation. There's over 120 Pesach
Wow.
programs. I think you know this, right? And in some years there's over 150 Pesach programs. They're all over the world. Like you said, there's some in South America, North America, Europe, Asia. There's a couple in Australia this year.
Now they have in Egypt.
Right, right.
That one is never gonna escape me.
There was one in Turkey last year, right? They're getting. I'm telling you, the destination.
In Dubai, right?
They're having multiple in Dubai this year. Yeah, the destinations this year are crazy. But what I was going to say was that the differentiation of the Pesach program, each one they're all very different, right? Especially, the locations, right? European programs are very different than American programs that are very different than Australian programs that are very different than the Mexico programs, right? But even the ones, there's so many little nuances out there. And the food, the styles of the food and the types of food they bring, bringing the food into this on the programs are very different. I have a question for you around Pesach, right? What would you like to see in terms of food-wise on a Pesach program? If you were going away and say, I would love to have one dish or a couple dishes, right? What would that be for you? What would kind of excite you that says, hey, I really would love to have, a smoked brisket or something that maybe.
Yeah, I think that with Pesach programs, it's hard to find a program where you feel like the food has uniqueness, because first of all, you're cooking in mass quantities and for multiple meals, multiple days. So I think that a lot of times programs think smaller, like what's easier to make a lot of this. So I think it would be great if I saw more programs that offered, whether it's Chol or one of the Yom Tov days or something like that, where it's something that's a little more complicated and elevated. And instead of worrying about it for 8 days, they have like one day, like a special, as if you're going to, I think that it was these barbecues and stuff like that at Chol and like endless amounts of like brisket and steak, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see like more focused, like something that's like, this
Okay.
is like if you go to a restaurant, if you go to a fancy restaurant, you're not ordering everything on the menu. The amount of stuff you go to like a pizza program,
Yeah.
it's endless amounts of everything. So I'd like to see more like targeted. Like today we're doing this. And I think it's probably very hard to train people because they get used to the quantity.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 500 to 1,000 people on a program. You have to please everyone's palates,
Right.
as they say. I remember last year I went to a wonderful program last year in Florida, in your neck of the woods, next to Hollywood, in Aventura, Alaska.
Nice.
There was one night where they had 10 different types of food. So they had like 10 different buffet stations. It was the coolest thing I've seen in a while, right? So they had one buffet station, it was like all Italian. And another buffet station, all Mexican. Another buffet station, But I hear your point in terms of having a bit more target. I think there's pros and cons with both. But it was great because you can kind of get a little bit of everything, if you want, some pasta.
Yeah, maybe it's just a matter of like, they say like on one of the days you could order something specific, where they have like a featured dish, like,
Yeah.
a coq au vin or something like that, like that's like very specific. And I know this is going to be shocking to say for Pesach programs, but I think that sometimes less is more, and I think because we're so accustomed to that at Pesach programs where it's just like endless.
It's usually more is less, Never less is more.
Someone just told me if less is more, then more or less is better.
Go.
We
Thank
don't
you.
think small Jewish people. I know people see Pesach programs. It's like
Isn't it crazy how they've evolved? It's, when you think about this industry, right? How it evolved year after year, just new destinations, new concepts, about around programs having, 16 restaurants, kosher restaurants last year to a new concept this year. Leisure Time Tours is actually doing something new where it's a full-blown program, but they're having, people can actually rent their houses and flats and villas, but still full-blown bro program as well. So, kind of like a mix of that style. It's to programs all around the world and just kind of just so many new different types of everyone's trying
yeah.
to
I think
evolve.
because there's more people. It's like I think I see this in almost all of the industries that
Yeah,
the Jewish music industry, let's say for instance.
yeah,
When I was first working and I started in Jewish music, there was maybe like 10 weddings tops in New York, New Jersey a
yeah.
night. Now they have 30 weddings just in Lakewood. So
Right.
because there's so much more of it, you
Yeah,
get to experience different singers that you may not have heard before, different caterers,
yeah.
different party event planners. It gives everybody an opportunity, and you see that same thing with real estate or creating new communities because there's no more place left. I see Pesach programs. There's more um, that are like kidneys, like more of those that are like we have kidneys programs, more non-gebrach, more like individual to your taste, which is good. It's nice. It's nice to see
I
that.
agree. I agree.
Um, but like I said, I think because we're so used to these programs that they just put so much food out, and I think it becomes desensitized. So I think I mean listen, I'm telling post programs how to run their programs unless they ask me to, but I would like to see more less variety, better
It's
quality, less
better
variety.
quality.
Right.
Okay, that's good. That's a
That way, because you know how much good can you have for something?
yeah,
At some point, if you eat candy all day, you're gonna have a stomach ache. So I like
yeah.
that way. I feel like people would, or even like I said, I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they do more like themed nights or stuff like
Hmm.
that. But I get what you mean because there are so many different people. It's
Yeah.
hard to please everybody. If we just said tonight is chicken night, everybody
Right.
like where's the meat?
Right. Right.
So it's hard. It is hard
It's
to please people.
hard. Look, it's very hard to you can't what I've seen is that you can't please everyone, but yeah,
No, for
you
sure
try to
not.
do your best and you try to do as much as possible and try to give someone something for everybody. I always say there's something enjoyable for everyone on a program.
Do people have a lot of the programs that you work with? You see that they have smaller or private seders in addition to the large halls.
Absolutely.
That's
It's so nice.
something that people are interested in.
People love that. Yeah, people really like to have an intimate setting for Pesach. And I think there's pros and cons to it. I mean, obviously, if you want to have an intimate setting, it's nice with your family and you don't have to hear the noise in the background, things like that. But, look, I was at a place that had, what was it, 100, 300 different seders, right, at the same time. And what's cool about it is, like, while your seder is going on, you see right next door a table chairs because that's their minhag they've done for the last
Of
25
doing
years or 30.
what?
Dancing on tables and
Oh
singing
yeah.
some like customs, really cool custom minhagim that you're like, wow, that's a lot of fun,
I think
because Pesach is
that's like traveling where you expose yourself to different cultures, and I think that's a great thing about the Pesach programs is that you
yeah.
meet people from
You
different
meet it.
backgrounds.
That's I think the coolest part about, at least for me, everyone has their thing. We always we survey thousands of people every year. It's like, why do you go on a Pesach program? What's your reason? People say it's the food. Oh, it's the entertainment. Oh, it's the hotel. It's the I just want to just chill and relax and have a great time. For me, it's actually the
Yeah,
people. I love
I get that.
it.
I get that a lot. I really relate to that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Do you find with the programs that you work with that people come to the same program every single year, or people mix it up?
People love mixing it up. I mean,
Yeah.
you always look. You're gonna have people that go away year over year, to the same program and love that. But the majority of people out there, especially that travel, they like to mix it up. They like to see what's new out there. They like to travel to new destinations. They like to have new entertainment. They like to have new different experiences with their family and new hotel amenities and things of that nature. They love to mix it up. It's nice to mix it up, but a lot. But again, you can also argue that, like, if you know it's good and your parent and you have a great time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And you keep going back and back. So I think it's a mix, but a lot of people go away. We see this all the time. People, even the people that go away every year, they still look. They still want to find out
See
what else.
what else is out there.
Yeah, because there's always 10 new programs that pop out of the woodwork. I mean, this year, it's not announced yet, but there may be a Pesach cruise this year.
I was always
Interestingly enough,
wondering why that never happens,
it's
especially
so
with like someone with Costa Rica. Like, why wouldn't you want to do a?
it, it's so difficult. It's
Well,
difficult
you
from
have
a
to take a
coordination.
private. You have to take your own like a river cruise or a yacht. It can't be like one of the
Right,
large cruises. Probably
right,
too
yeah.
complicated with
Well,
Kosher.
there is some, in the Caribbean, there is not a program, but there is a guy renting out two yachts,
For
right?
Pesach.
Pesach, catamaran yachts out of the Caribbean. Was it St. Martin, St. Thomas, one of those? It's, that's, I think that's pretty unique. If you want
Who would
to
have
into,
thought when the Jews were traveling the desert in the hot sun that
right.
their descendants would be on a cruise on a ship on the
Isn't that
water?
crazy? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean, what do you feel? Have you seen anything that's come out this season, this year, that's innovative, that's different, that's like a new thing that someone's offering, other than the yacht, you said the ship cruise, but like what kind of new things are being added to Pesach programs?
yeah, yeah. So I think the new thing that I've seen, frankly, was the program in Orlando this year, right? At Leisure Time Tours, they did something new this year. And that's, I mentioned earlier, like the new thing that they did, which is I think really cool for people and reasonable in terms of price too, is like, you get to go away and actually spend time with your family and friends, potentially in a villa or house, but it's not a house like villa style program, like where you kind of do your own thing. Everything's still taken care of for you. So if you want kind of like maybe whether it's the
They
best of both,
sort of bring the Pesach hotel experience to where you rented.
not, not
Is
even
that
that.
what you're saying?
No, you're still eating in a dining room, still having
Oh,
get entertainment programming,
but
and
you sleep
you use them.
in your
But
own
you
villa.
have your own, right. You're kind of like you're in terms of sleeping arrangements. You're in your own house, flat, or villa, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen that right before. I mean, there are style programs, like a Perfect Pesach does this, but again, it's more of a hybrid style, right? And then you got some other, like the Soleras and everybody in Orlando has their houses and does their own thing. But this is a full blown legitimate like program, right? In terms of itinerary and everything. But you have a house, flat, or villa instead of a hotel room, which is cool
Yeah.
because so it's a little bit different, but
Do they
I
have
think
in California? They have Pesach programs?
yeah, it's two in There's I think there's two in California this year. They all have a program. Yeah, San Diego. There's one that just launched. VIP Kosher Tours just launched in San Diego. There's one in Ventura
Oh
as
wow.
well. Uh, so yeah, there's programs everywhere. I'd say there's a lot less programs in the West Coast. I
Yeah,
wish I
that's
really
what I was thinking. I know they have in Arizona, right? Is that
there's a worldwide cultures in Arizona.
and where's KMR? Do they do Pesach?
KMR does Pesach. I'm not sure. I don't think they've announced yet,
Right.
but probably do something either in Mexico or the West Coast this year as well. Um, but there's a program in Tulum this year.
Really?
But yeah, I don't know if it's a first, but that's been a while. I haven't seen that. I've seen, most of it's like Playa,
What's
Cancun.
the setup this year with Chol Man? Do you know?
Yeah, yeah. So you got the Seder Moed falls out on the 25th and 26th, right? So 24 and then the 24th starts, right? And
What
you have
day of
25th and
the
26th.
week is that?
You got it's Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah, Thursday, Friday, basically. You got it.
Chol
It's
Man.
not that
Right. It's not a great Chol Man.
not that a long. Yeah, this year we also don't have a long Chol Moed, but next year, actually, 2025 is going to be a big one. Next year is going to be
The full
a
week,
much,
basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So next year I think it's going to be a huge uh,
Do
Pesach for these
you
programs.
find that people go away less when it's not a full Chol Man?
I think I mean, we're still finding a ton of people going away, but I do think it could be somewhat of a little bit of a hindrance. People like to kind of go out and do things during the week and kind of have that time, not on Yom Tov. But look, at the end of the day, there's one reason why people go away for Pesach program. They don't want to. They want to have everything taken care of for them, right? They don't want to cook. They don't
Yeah.
want to enjoy it and just relax and kind of be served upon and dined upon and have that experience with their family. That's why they go away. So whether there's 1 day or 10 days, you're still going to see 150 to 200,000 people a year go away for Pesach.
I'll tell you something interesting. I know that a lot of people have some people have negative associations with Pesach programs. It's very like over the top, and this is not what the holiday's about, whatever. But I actually have a different view because they say we like lean like we're kings and we're celebrating our freedom, and I think that by indulging yourself and really like showing that, you see a lot of times like we are celebrating that freedom. We're celebrating it in a big way, and I think that that's actually really special because that's a big part of the Seder is to be appreciative of the fact that we're not slaves anymore. So what better way to say that we're not slaves than to not be slaving at home, cooking and cleaning and making stuff crazy like this? We're saying, we're not slaves anymore. This is the non-slave life. So I think it works actually.
I love what you just said. Like if you can, I hope someone kind of captures that a little like.
Look, there's plenty of other holidays where you're gonna work yourself to the bone. There's a lot of them. We're not short on holidays.
Yeah, and look, I'll be honest with you. I think this year, especially with everything going on, in Israel, which is so unfortunate, right? Like, people are, this is something I think they need and want. At least that's what we're hearing, right?
Are there
people
programs in Israel?
Yeah. There's a couple programs in Israel this year, of course. Yeah, a couple programs in Israel still happening, and that's going to be nice too for people who want to get away to Israel. But at the end of the day, people want to be away, united with their families, and honestly, with other Jews. I think this year is going to be a special year, Shirley, because people will want to be together with other Jewish people.
Yeah.
Like especially because I think
can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I think that something that to me is a very big positive that has come since the war, and in a sad way almost, because before the war there was such division in Israel between the secular and the religious, and we've really seen like an incredible just joining of everybody and people understanding that a Jew is a Jew. It doesn't matter if you're not religious or you are religious or how religious you are. And I think that people are celebrating that a lot more. And you're right. I think that Pesach, that feeds into that enjoying to see other people's culture and other people's traditions and the way. I mean, there's no other holiday like Pesach where people have such totally different traditions. I mean, I think we all do Shavuos kind of the same, right? No, I don't know. We have cheesecake, ice cream. We get it. Pesach, even in Chabad, you have 50 different ways to do it.
Oh, you got everything. Good Ross, not Ross, Kitnio, not everything. I mean, there's so many walks of life. But I know I appreciate your time, Shirley. This has been an awesome do it. If you are looking for amazing kosher recipes, check Shirley Cooks out.
Yeah. And guys, check out Passover listings and their price tool, comparison tool, and everything. They have a lot of good stuff. They're really trying to make it simple for you guys so that it's not overwhelming or complicated. You just go to the website and they're there for you. They have messaging or respond to you. It's complicated. I get it. I know it's very overwhelming, but that's the whole point of Passover listings. I hope you guys make it simple.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we do. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Great to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.